homage to the gem of the Supreme Buddha. The Buddha is my refuge every day. My homage to the gem of the Supreme Dhamma. The Dhamma is my refuge every day. My homage to the gem of the Supreme Sangha. The Sangha is my refuge every day. My homage to the Supreme Triple Gem. The Triple Gem is my refuge every day. Namo Buddhaya. Meritorious children, welcome to Wisdom for Little Hearts. Meritorious children, as you know, in this broad society that we live in, we see many differences in people. Now, in this society, we see that some people, when they start a business, it develops so far that it becomes so successful that they don't even imagine ever that their business will become so successful. They get so much publicity and they get so much profit and they expand so well. However, there are some people in this world, when they start a business, their business doesn't develop the way they want. It doesn't improve the way they want. It doesn't expand the way they want. Now, this is something that you can see in the society, isn't it? I'm sure you know of many names of many different businesses that are so successful. But did you know that they got that successful because of reason? Some people become so successful while others don't because there's a reason behind it. Did you know that? Of course, as human beings who have very little wisdom, we don't have the ability to realize that there's actually a reason behind it. However, our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, who has the most wisdom in the world, who has deep wisdom in this world, saw the reason behind this difference and taught us this. Actually, this question was asked by Venerable Sariputta. Now you know who Venerable Sariputta is. He was the right-hand chief disciple of our great teacher, who was foremost in wisdom. So Venerable Sariputta one day approached the Blessed One and asked and paid homage to him and sat down to one side and said, "Bhante, why is it that for one person here, the business he undertakes ends in failure?" So for some people, when they start a business, it goes bankrupt and it fails. Why is it that for another, the same kind of business does not fulfill his expectations? So for some people, although they start the business, it doesn't go according to his expectation. The business stays, the business can be maintained, but it doesn't develop the way he wants. And Venerable Sariputta is asking, why is it that for still another, the same kind of business fulfills his expectations? For some people, when they start a business, the business develops just like the way they expected, just like the way they wanted. And the Venerable Sariputta is asking, and why is it that for still another, the same kind of business surpasses his expectations? So there are some people, his expectation is lower. However, when the business starts, it develops so much that it surpasses his expectation. So Venerable Sariputta is asking the reason behind these differences. So what are the 4 scenarios? For some people, when they start a business, it fails. For some people, when they start a business, it doesn't develop the way they want. For some people, when they start a business, it fulfills the expectation. For some people, when they start a business, it surpasses the expectation. Now, our great teacher, the knower of the whole world, the knower of everything in this world, replies to Venerable Sariputta saying, "Here, Sariputta, someone approaches an ascetic or a Brahman and invites him to ask for what he needs, but does not give him what was requested. When he passes away from there, if he comes back to this world, whatever business he undertakes ends in failure." So what do some people do in this world? They go and ask recluses and Brahmins and monks. They ask, what do you need? What do you need? They ask what their needs are. And when those recluses and ascetics and Brahmins tell him what they need, he promised to give them, but he never gives. So he says, okay, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, and he makes promises, but he never gives them. So Supreme Buddha explains, this is the reason. So promising to give something and not giving it, that's the reason why some people, when they are born in the next life, when they come back to this world, the business fails. And then the Supreme Buddha explains, for some people goes and approaches ascetics and Brahmins and asks them what they need. And so when they say what they need, he gives it to him, but does not fulfill his expectations. That means he gives it, but he doesn't give it the way recluses and Brahmins expected it. When he passes away from there, if he comes back to this world, whatever business he undertakes does not fulfill his expectations. Now, for example, let's say someone promised to give food to recluse or Brahmin, but that food he gives just enough for him to live, just enough for his hunger to go away. He doesn't give more than that. So he doesn't fulfill the expectation. Because of that, when he is born in the next life, when he starts a business, his business does not develop the way he expected it. What's the reason? Because he didn't give in a way that fulfilled the other person's expectation. And then the Supreme Buddha explains, some people, they go and ask ascetics and Brahmins of what they need. And when those ascetics and Brahmins tell him what they need, he gives in a way that fulfills the expectations. So he gives to fulfill the expectation. If they wanted something, he gives exactly what he wants. So he fulfills the expectation. As a result, when that person passes away in the next life, when he is reborn in the human world, when he starts a business, the business develops just like he expected. What's the reason? The reason is in the previous life he gave to fulfill the expectations of the receivers. And then the Supreme Buddha explains the last scenario, which is some people, they go and ask Brahmins and recluses of what they need. And when they tell them what they need, he gives more than expected. So he gives more than expected. And because of that, when he passes away from there, if he comes back to this world, whatever business he undertakes surpasses his expectations. So what's the reason that some people's businesses surpasses the expectation? Because in their previous lives, when they give more than what the other person expected. That's the reason that their businesses develop in a way that it surpasses his expectations. The Supreme Buddha explains, This Sariputta is the reason why different people's businesses end up in different ways. So my choice children, you can see then most things in our life is influenced by things we do. If we give in a certain way, we get in that same way. So as children who knows that there are good results of doing good things and bad results of doing bad things, you must determine that when you give to someone, you must give in a way that at least fulfills that person's expectation or surpasses that person's expectation, because then that merit you collect will allow you to lead a happy life, not just in this life but also in the next life. So I bless you. May you have the opportunity to practice generosity and be generous children, and may you have the opportunity to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.